Hey, everybody. This is Random Vaughn with The Industry Show coming to you from Danks Wonder Emporium, and you are watching us on Dank Network. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of having Summer from Wildmint on the show. Summer, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me today. Excited to be here.
So let's just jump into it. For those people who don't know anything about Wildmint and those kind of things, kind of tell us, what is Wildmint?
Well, Wildmint is a topical company. We specialize in body care, basically salves. We have a great body butter and things that are really just focused on topical usage for folks that want to use cannabis topically.
You know, one thing that I know we will get into and talk a lot about, but I just want to bring it up because I know so many people, if they have heard of you, probably heard about your recent win at the Dope Cup.
Yes.
So just kind of tell us, what were you competing in and what did you win for? Give us all the details about your win at the Dope Cup.
Well, we competed in the topical division, and we entered 3 of our topicals. We entered our salve, our body butter, and our help headache medicine. And all of them actually did really well, but we were runner-up with our warming MJ muscle salve.
Nice.
And yeah, it got some really, really great feedback, and the look, the feel, the texture was really enjoyed by the judges, and it works. So it was a pretty exciting win for us, actually.
Fantastic. So when you're talking about that, is that your most popular product?
No, actually the 3,
Oh, that's funny.
The 3 that we entered are definitely our best sellers, but I'd say our help headache medicine sells the best, and MJ and our rest body butter are a close second, and they're kind of neck and neck. So we'll see if that changes now that
now that
it's
like,
got some recognition.
So we'll get into it some more, but tell me, are you doing like a lot of companies when they win, like at say a Dope Cup, they start putting like special stickers of like Dope Cup winner on things? Are you doing any of that? What
haven't
can we be
yet.
expecting?
It literally just came about 2 Sundays ago.
Yeah,
so
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that yet. But yeah, definitely, we want to take advantage of any sort of advertising that
letting people know about
absolutely.
that. Yeah, especially I think the tough thing is, and we'll talk about that in the lotion space is that it's like for most of it you can't see it. You don't know how it's going to feel on your skin. And so people are like, they really feel like they're taking that risk to try out a lotion and that kind of stuff. What have you done to kind of conquer that when someone's coming into a rec shop now when they can't touch it?
Sure. One of the things that we did was we tried to do clear tops, and that's got an advantage and a disadvantage. An advantage so that folks can see it, a disadvantage because we really don't want a bunch of light getting to the product and degrading it at all.
Gotcha.
But we did feel it was important for people to see that. We also tried to provide everybody with uninfused samples so that the customer actually can see it, they can look at it, and that way they have an opportunity to sort of smell it, see what it looks like. And
I think that's just a phenomenal. And you even gave us like a little box. Yeah, like it's a cute little box on our display. I'm shocked that other lotion companies don't do that. At least I think you're the only one in our shop that actually has uninfused samples. Yeah. So customers come up, they open them up all the time, they rub them on their skin, and they're looking at your product and your brand over the other guys.
Sure, and I think that's why, because they do get an opportunity to see and feel it, and we just really feel that's important to offer that. And I know for my own self as a consumer, I would like to see what I'm purchasing. So,
amen.
We may consider changing our packaging just to keep the light out, but at that point then every single store we would just make sure has uninfused. And I wouldn't say it's tedious, but if the other companies that are maybe doing 15 or 16 other different things, it might be kind of a pain for them to do uninfused samples of their topicals, but it's kind of all we focus on. So something we can provide. It's tough
enough for me to get a sniff jar, let me tell you.
Sure.
That's about it. So the fact that you're willing to do that, I think, is just a great idea. Well, we'll get back into all the products and that kind of stuff. Guys, I want to give you a reminder that we are live on Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. So, guys, if you have questions for Summer and Wildmint, any questions whatsoever, please chime those in. Those get delivered over to me, and then I ask Summer for you. So please make sure you get those questions in as we are live. So the one thing, guys, what I know they're going to want to know is, kind of, how did you get your start? That's what everyone wants to know is
Sure.
like, how did you get into the industry? Did you start in medical? Kind of give us that story.
Yeah, I did start in medical. I have been a smoker since I was 18 years old, so many, many years now. And
Like 3-4 years.
Oh, yeah. Maybe only a couple, actually, if I'm honest.
Exactly.
Basically, I really kind of found the segue that cannabis just itself was going to be my go-to for medical needs. I have some issues that don't allow me to tolerate any sort of pain med, no opioids, nothing like that. So managing after surgeries, things like that can get a little tedious and tough. And I found cannabis was really the way to go.
Nice.
And I lived down in California through 2009 and 2010 and kind of got introduced into the medical field down there and transitioned back up to Washington, a native of Washington, and basically dove into finding out where I could get my card and really just went that route. And because I do like to smoke, it just got sort of expensive and it just sort of made sense to start growing my own. When I transitioned, my partner and I transitioned back up from California, we kind of made a lifestyle change of really getting educated on food, because of my own issues, a little more educated on big pharma and kind of wanted to go back to old school style of living, a little closer to the land, a little less stuff. And that just sort of brought us into feeling good about, growing our own medicine, I guess, is the best way to put that. And so we started that way.
So you came back up here 2010, 2011?
Yeah, I came back up here actually right at the end of 2009.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And then basically when 502 was coming through, I was in one of the co-ops and asked a really good friend of mine. I was like, we're stupid for not doing, jumping on the...
applying.
And he was like... Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I took that and we ran with it and just got totally involved and immersed in it and learned what we needed to do and applied.
Yeah. So kind of give me, the big thing is, and we'll get this, I guarantee we'll get this question, like advice on how to get in, and we'll tackle that in a little bit. But I'm assuming that it wasn't just like you applied and then instantly you're now up and running and all that kind of stuff. So kind of give us a story of from the late 2012 when everyone had to apply for a producer processor license. Also, can you give us a fill-in? Are you a tier 1, 2, or 3? And
Absolutely.
what did you all do on that kind of side?
Okay, yes, we are a tier 1. Definitely, it's just myself and my partner, and we really just wanted to stay small. So, of course, that was the tier 1 was the option for us. And we were advised early on, get your processor license, because, of course, in the beginning, we had every intention of only growing. And so we thought, we don't need to apply for both. And thankfully, we did get hooked up with some really good people, and they guided us and have guided us along the way. And, we got all of our stuff in, and of course, we're a W, and we were probably one of the ones to get it in 2 seconds before everything closed.
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of people that waited to the last day. They didn't want to be in the front end. They wanted to be in the back end.
It didn't even have anything to do with that. It was just a little more like, we just got into it so late that by the time we got everything ready and really felt comfortable, it was just the very last minute. So it took them almost a year to even contact us.
I know. I really think some of the people that applied later got a massive advantage of having that extra time just to get everything ready.
In the beginning, it didn't feel like a mass advantage. We were like, oh my God, are they ever going to call?
Everyone else is getting open.
And it felt like a big bummer. And honestly, I'll never forget the day I was waiting. We wait 9 months for a mare in foal, and was having a horse baby that day, and the poor mare actually hemorrhaged, and it was this whole like just awful ordeal. And the LCB called me that day.
You're like, and now on top of everything else.
Now here we go. So, so it was kind of a like, oh my God, here we go. And then everything was like easy peasy, smooth sailing, got all of our stuff in, ready to go. And then we found out that we were in a county that had a moratorium, something we probably should have known beforehand, but naively did not. And so then we started that whole battle right at that time, honestly. And we battled them for 2 years and never won.
Yeah, exactly. Counties can just wait you out. They're like, we aren't going anywhere. We're not changing our vote. So which county were you in?
We're in Lewis County. That's where our farm is. And I mean, we even went so far as we have a beautiful farm. We purchased the acreage right next door to us to do the 502 business. It was going to be ideal. Walk out the door, do the horses, walk next door, do the business.
Yeah, and it's properly zoned because it's
totally
you're growing on farmland. What a concept!
Absolutely,
that should work.
Yeah, it really should have worked. And especially where our property is, it's just you just would have never known it was there. Obviously, we wouldn't have signage, things like that. So that was a little bit discouraging because now the way is, cities and counties work separate. So the city of Chehalis did decide to go forward with it. And after searching all over the place, there's one little
tiny strip
down there where about 1,000 of us just sort of glommed on. And fortunately, we were just lucky enough. We got our paperwork in at the right time and got all of our stuff done. And we're willing to completely restructure our business operating plan. I mean, it went complete 180 from being the tier 1 growers and processing that way into the topicals.
So you kind of mentioned, I just want to make it clear for the audience viewing, is that you were only going to grow.
Yes.
And now you don't grow at all, and you only do topicals.
Correct. Well, I did keep my medical strains. I had 3 really lovely strains that we didn't want to see go anywhere, and not knowing what the future necessarily would hold, and not opposed to getting into the growing again, but just felt like it was important. So I have a 32 square foot grow space in my teeny tiny little building. Yeah. Nice. Which, so it houses those mamas. So yes, we do exercise our producer license a teeny bit. Yeah. But what ended up happening
also don't want to lose it.
That's the other big thing. And really for us, kind of being flexible in the industry and really sort of figuring out we weren't going to be able to do it at home. It was going to take a massive change. And again, kind of getting back to wanting to live off the land and doing things like that. We were just really getting into raising our own food, making our own stuff. My partner, who's also my life partner, makes his own shoes. I mean, just sort of really dove into this whole kind of homestead type lifestyle. And when we decided that we weren't going to be able to grow, we wanted to kind of combine those two. So it sort of really made sense. I was an over-the-counter topical user daily, riding horses and working on a farm. You suffer aches and pains. And even though I am only 20, I still suffer. No, I'm just kidding. You got me there. I know, right? Still suffering 21. Suffering from aches and pains. I guess we really too kind of wanted to get back to knowing what was in our stuff, really sort of sourcing. That's kind of where that's why we're organic, why we went that route, to produce something that I personally could use on my body, feel very comfortable using on my body, knew what I was putting on and would be helpful. And so we partnered up with the gal that actually had experience in that, and we just did a tremendous amount of brainstorming, and she was instrumental in coming up with our recipes.
Gotcha. In creating the products that you now have on the show.
Absolutely.
Okay, I was going to ask where you got all this information of knowing about the topicals and knowing about this, because it's not like I could just go out and all of a sudden make an award-winning lotion. And so I'm assuming a lot of time and energy went into that. A
ton. And we had it, unfortunately, because we were waiting with the county and battling with the city. So we just decided that since we were sort of in limbo with all of that, that we just really focus and hone in and get ourselves really educated on, what was going to work and how it was going to work and if it was going to work. And since our partner, Chelsea, had some knowledge in making topicals herself, it was easy segue. And I think just because we did want to kind of focus on making a full line, it was really important for us to bring somebody in that had a lot of knowledge in the topical field from the medical side to, make it so that it works for people.
Nice. Okay, well, guys, once again, I am here with Summer from Wildmint, Dope Cup winner. And if you guys have questions for her, we are live on Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. So please message those questions in, and then I get to as many of them as I possibly can to Summer. Summer, once again, getting back to the Dope Cup, what made you decide this year to apply? Tell me about the road of getting into the Dope Cup and competing.
Honestly, thanks for sending out the email that Dope Cup sends out. That was really, truly what did it. I got that email and was like, wow, we really need some help in the advertising portion, and truly believed in our product. It's not the cheapest thing in the world to enter the Dope Cup, and we just really thought, okay, this is a good way for us to spend advertising dollars, I guess is the best way to put that, and see how we stood up to everybody else out there.
Yeah, it's also nice knowing where you rank.
Absolutely.
And that kind of stuff. You can believe in your product, but until you get that yes. kind of third party, hey, you really are doing something
Absolutely.
good. And so, yeah, that's really nice to get. So you basically applied and then went to the awards and found it was just was it a shock? Were you surprised?
I think it was a bit of a shock, especially because I took my mom, which was awesome because my mom's totally not a smoker. She does use some mints to help sleep at night, but took her, it was quite the experience for her. But thankfully, my mom loves rap music, so it was right up her alley to be there for the concert. And she wandered around with me, and we found all these people that had entered the topical section, and we were like, okay, now I am nervous. Now I'm really nervous, and
there's just a lot more competition.
Yeah, and great competition. Yeah. People that we were like, ooh, okay. We see you guys in all these stores that we're in.
Gotcha.
And so it was a little intimidating. And then, when they called us out, we freaked out. It was awesome. It was really cool. So
did you get to give, was there a speech or anything like that? Or did you just
but that also, but that also could have been because I was way at the very back and I was a little whoa. And they're like, yeah, you should come up. And I'm like, oh. Okay.
Way
back there. So I made my way up there, but 10 minutes later, I'm finally on stage.
Gotcha.
So, which was fine for us. It was just awesome. It was up on the marquee and just all the, wonderful advertising that you get out of it just on their end is huge. And as you mentioned, the stickers and whatnot, that's something that we'll want to take full advantage of just so that people know. I think it's important for the consumer to know that it was judged and people liked it and it worked well, and I think that's a big deal. Nice.
So we kind of talked about the product that is the most popular and the product that is the one that won the award. The audience wants to know, what is your personal favorite product and why?
Wow. Well, I actually use probably our MJ and Chill the most, which MJ ironically was the one that won. But because I personally suffer from a lot of sore muscles, I like to have the warming salve when it's a little cold outside. I completely use the warming salve all winter long. Put that on, put some socks on, sit down in front of a warm heater.
And that's smart.
Oh yeah. And feet are nice and warm. That cayenne kicks in and you get muscle relaxation almost right away with that one. And then the other part that's nice with the Chill, which basically does the same exact thing, except for the cooling component. So it's the opposite of having that. And since that's what I suffer from, is, more muscle soreness than anything, those two work the best for me. I do find myself using our Help headache medicine. Don't get headaches very often, but boy, if I feel anything coming on, more sinus headaches, I actually put a little bit down on my sinuses before I go to sleep and wake up with no sinus headache afterwards. So and that's been something that our Help headache medicine has gotten a lot of
good reviews.
Yeah, people are just finding that for migraines and folks that really suffer from tension headaches, that magnesium oil in there along with the full plant cannabis is really helpful. So
fantastic.
Yeah. So, but I definitely would say that MJ and Chill are the two that I use the most. However, I did just develop a brand new one called CBD, and still has some THC in there, but it's a high concentrate of THC. It's still from the same folks that we buy our full plant extract from, and that has turned out to be one I'm reaching for a lot. But literally, we just developed it, and it's,
So it's not
out
even on
2 weeks. No.
Yeah, so it's not even on store shelves.
Not
Trust me,
at
there's
all.
somebody who's going to comment like, why isn't that in your shop?
Yeah.
Trust me, that happens every time we announce products that are coming,
Sure.
guys. It's coming. We'll have it on our stores. Don't worry.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we carry your entire line.
You do.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So another question from the audience is, what is your most unique product? What's a product that only you guys do that you wouldn't really see other people do? Do you have one of those, or what would you consider it?
I have to say, I think our I keep going back to our help headache medicine, but I do think that's a fairly unique product. There may be other products I haven't seen, so certainly can't quote me. I don't know every single product that's out there.
On the market.
Yeah, but it's an actual roll-on. It's magnesium oil with peppermint essential oil and the full plant extract and a little vitamin E oil. Goes on really smooth, and I think really that particular one with the combination of the essential oils, which kick in immediately, by the time those are kind of starting to wear off, the magnesium and the full plant extracts really kicking in. So
Nice.
it does really knock out a headache well. So
fantastic.
And I think that one's fairly unique.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see that one too often.
No.
Normally it's about muscle pain and those kind of things.
Absolutely.
So I would agree with that.
But in the research, because of course we went through and just did a tremendous amount of research, cannabis is huge for helping tension headaches and for helping headaches. So it just seemed like, well,
A no-brainer.
yeah, duh,
Yeah.
we ought to
A
have that
no-brainer-
one. Yeah.
A no-brainer that nobody thinks of.
That's
Exactly.
right. So,
Okay.
anyway, so yeah, I definitely think that's probably our most unique.
Nice. Well, guys, once again, you are watching The Industry Show. I'm your host, Random Vaughn, and you are watching this because of Dank Wonder Emporium, and you are watching on Dank Network. I have actually some more questions that I want to ask. So we're going to dive into those. But, guys, if you do have questions, please post those up on Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, or Facebook. I get those fed to me, and then I ask them to Summer of Wildmint for you guys. So, Summer, do you only have the Wildmint brand? A lot of companies now are coming out with multiple different brands. So tell us, is Wildmint, you guys, there's no sub-brands? Kind of explain that to the audience.
Currently right now it's just Wildmint.
And how did you come up with that name?
Fun story. Again, live on a really gorgeous farm down south, and our farm name for our horse farm and for our animal farm is Holly Tree Farm, because we have holly trees all over the property, which is fairly unique. And when we were coming up with the name for the cannabis business, we wanted something that was different. We knew that there was going to be a lot of greens or having cannabis or weed or whatever in the name.
Leaf.
And we wanted something that described us, was really kind of close to us, and we have probably about a 5-acre patch of wild mint that grows out in our pastures with our horses, and I go out there and grab that and use it all the time, and it's a wonderful mojito maker. And
I'm like all the things that I
totally,
like mint in.
Absolutely. So we just went with that. It really kind of went again with our farm and sort of hit close to home, and we felt was unique enough to be a little bit different. So, but still sort of fit into the marijuana or cannabis industry. So,
but I think you've kind of gone another direction too, and you use more reds. Is that correct, or is that just am I kind of coming up with something that just happens?
Not at all. At first you just threw me for a loop. I'm like, reds? Like, what is reds? Okay. No, we try to stay away from reds. Yes, our color scheme. Yeah, we went with the black, red, and white again to be completely different. We knew green
was
obviously
just going to be the thing.
Yeah.
So.
And we figured too, a lot of folks, just because I think it's easy access to get these, and the most common thing to use are the white jars, and so we just kind of wanted to differentiate ourselves a little bit out in the marketplace. So
it seems like you put a lot of thought into the product, because you had that time, and so you didn't spend that time just sitting there like, oh, woe's me, I'm waiting on the liquor control board. You were doing work for 2 years, getting ready to, when you come to the market with a product that has branding thought behind it, that has a good, an ability to win awards out of the gate. So that's impressive. So what would be the number one thing you would want a consumer or a patient or a bud tender to know about your company? What's that one thing?
Well, I think one of the biggest things about Wildmint is the fact that we are organic. We do source our cannabis and our extracts from clean green growers. Obviously we know organic is, nobody's USDA organic approved, but we do know and trust the farms that we're working with to be organic farmers, and source all of the herbs and essential oils and everything that we possibly can on our side organically, because we do want the consumer, the patient, the bud tenders, anybody that utilizes our stuff to feel safe, comfortable, not feel that they're putting a poison on their skin. The skin is the largest organ of the body, so if you're going to put something on it, let's make sure that it's healthy. And that's really our whole focus, is just trying to provide something that's real safe and healthy for the consumer.
Oh, fantastic. So what does a typical day look like at where you're working? And, this is a question. Everyone wants the behind the scenes of what goes on in the producer process. I think everyone thinks it's Willy Wonka's factory.
No.
But kind of paint us a picture of what it's like at Wildmint.
Okay. Well, Wildmint is me. So it starts off with me feeding horses and taking care of farm animals in the morning before I do anything. Okay. And then usually I get into the office, honestly, about 9, 10 o'clock, sometimes a little later, depending on how everyone's behaving in the morning. And I get in and the days vary greatly because I do all the sales. I do all the salve making. I'm pretty much the go-to gal for stuff. Some days I'm doing this. Some days I'm making our salves. Some days I'm marketing our salves. So that's sort of the wonderful thing for me. I don't really like the stagnation of doing one thing repetitively. So it's fun for me to have a ton of variety. With that being said, it'll be nice when we grow a little bit further and can bring on a full-time salesperson and do some things like that, so that I can spend a little bit more time just devoted to making the salves and continue developing those so that they get better each time we make them.
Yeah, that's great. So some companies are all about getting in there early in the morning, and I've always felt like, no, man, get in a little later, work a little later. Like that's go the Italian way with it. We're in weed, and stuff. But no, it's interesting to see. So it sounds like you've made it work. I mean, obviously you're working very, very hard, but you've made it work with your life.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. And, being very conscientious of our growth so that we keep the folks that, the stores that do have our product happy, trying to just really keep that quality up it makes for long days, but worth it. I don't know. I have to get up way early in the morning to feed the horses. So just because I get in at 10 doesn't mean I get to...
you haven't been working. You've been working the whole time.
Exactly. Doesn't mean I get to just chill and relax and show up at 10. So,
gotcha.
And a little harder through the winter time because, there's a little bit more farm chores that go on. So now it's kind of nice getting into the summertime and being able to
Besides
dig my
that
heels
crazy
a little more.
windstorm we just had, for people who have watched, we're watching the Chronic Cast. We literally got through one right as we lost power. So you saw the lights flickering as we ran down the show. But let me jump into a little bit more about where your product is on the shelf.
Sure.
As you just were at the Dope Cup and winning, that doesn't take into account price point. I always think that that's a big deal. But where, now that you know about your other competitors, where do you guys sit on the price point? Are you a top shelf brand that's more expensive than others? Are you a mid-shelf brand? Have you priced it there? Kind of when you've looked at kind of the market of lotions and topicals, where do you guys kind of play in? Is it top shelf, mid shelf, or specialty shelf?
Well, I would like to say we are a top shelf topical that comes in maybe at a little bit of a lower price point. I really wanted to take into consideration people buying our product. Especially I purchase it myself, so I didn't want it to be outrageous, but and I can't obviously speak for every topical company out there again, but we do a tremendous amount of additional herbs and even spices that are important for helping with circulation and muscle soreness, and the essential oils, and so that definitely drives your price up a bit. And we couldn't come in, I guess where I'm headed with that is as one of the lowest out there. But we definitely feel that we're right where we should be for the quality of product that you're getting, and that it's a decent price, and people are comfortable paying those prices. And I think our help headache medicine is a very reasonable product to come in. $15-$20 usually, depending on which store. Seems pretty darn reasonable to mitigate your headache. You know?
Exactly. Completely natural. And
absolutely.
Those kind of things. I agree. So let's jump into kind of what, besides the dope cup. I know we spent a lot of time talking about that. What other kind of marketing things have you guys tried? Where would people have seen your brand out there? Kind of give us the landscape of what you've done in the past.
Sure. Little bit of an online presence. We have a Facebook page that just, I'm sorry, I said Facebook. That is up and coming here soon. We just got all of our photos done for that, but we have a website. So we do our website. And really a lot of our advertising and marketing has come from either doing things like the Dope Cup or coming in and doing things like this or vendor days. Reaching out and just trying to do one-on-ones with the stores when we come in and drop off samples and things of that nature. I try when I come in to, especially because it is me bringing the samples, to really give whomever I get to deal with kind of the rundown, because we have a lot. There's a lot of topicals. There's a lot of different variety. We are a smaller company, so I think it's important to know, it's okay to buy just a small quantity, and I'll bring it to you more often so that we get it fresh and nice on the shelf. And
a lot of companies going to these minimum orders now, and I can understand for they're driving across the mountains. I get it from a dollars and cents perspective, but I think that really can hurt the longevity of the relationship with the retailers and that kind of stuff. So that's really nice. That's really nice that you're willing to do smaller batches and make sure that it's turning. That it's not just
think
sitting.
That's important, because I don't want somebody to get something. I mean, we haven't been open that long for it to even have old product on the shelf yet. When that does come, we certainly don't want people to have something that's been sitting there forever. And I'd rather a store purchase a small amount and see how it moves. See if people even like it. And then if they do, then you kind of know, okay, this really goes here, so we'll do a bunch of this. And that's really, I think, the majority of what I've tried to, when we get into stores, sort of reiterate, that's fine let's just do a small amount and go from there. And that's worked well for us. And really, though, that's kind of it. We could certainly use more of an online presence, but, again, we're small.
So kind of giving the shout outs right now, seeing if you want to plug yourself. No Instagram, no Periscope, no Twitter, no Facebook.
We're getting on the Facebook train. I know that's easy, but and I know they're all easy to kind of get in there and do. But also, I don't want to set up that presence and then never pay attention to it.
Smart.
I don't want to set up a Facebook page and our last thing was the day that I set it up. So I do want to.
Those are definitely in our industry. Let me tell you, it's like hello.
Exactly. So I think I'd rather not have that necessarily. And move towards that and do it correctly than to jump into it and have people be disappointed because we never do updates or things of that nature. So
that makes sense.
We do try to keep our website really updated, though. I will say our webmaster is awesome, so she does a good job of staying on top of that. So
basically any products that you have out now, you have pages or articles or something
you can go to it and you can at least
get information. Are they able to get I'm not going to say recipes, but a description of the ingredients in the topicals so they get a better understanding of what they're putting on their body?
We did not put the actual ingredients on the website. We do have a ton of brochures and actually a lot of material that we bring to the stores for people that want it. We have our brochure not only breaks down all the product, but what is specifically in the product, how to use it. And then really, I think for us, and I kind of had mentioned this earlier, going to start doing some labeling changes to add that. And when we do that, I think going back to adding that to the website will probably be smart. We're sort of finding out folks really want to know that and really want to see it. And we just didn't take that into consideration when we were building things. So I can picture us adding that later. But you will get a full description on what it is and how to use it.
Gotcha. So I think we talked about that off air. So let's dive into that a little bit more. what kind of changes are you envisioning? And then for the people who haven't seen your product, paint me a picture of what the label looks like now and what information you want to get there for them and how that's going to help their purchasing or customer experience.
I think really what it currently has is obviously we have our red and black and white. So it's a fairly distinctive label. We use tins instead of the plastic or glass jars. And so I think that does give us a little bit of a different distinction on the shelf as well. Currently, obviously, we have all the LCB requirements and THC, CBDs and things of that nature. What we want to add is just basically what you were talking about, the specifics as to what the product does, what it's designed for, how to use it, and also what's in it. We do have all that in our brochure, so it wasn't like we didn't take that into consideration. It's just so much labeling on such a small product.
Exactly.
I'm like, how are anybody going to be able to see that? But I was able to make some changes just in our tins that will still work really well for our product and allow me to add more labeling.
Nice.
So I think that'll be important for the
So
consumers.
when can people start to expect seeing these new labelings coming out, the new branding, maybe the Dump Cup award-winning branding? Are we looking at like months, or are we looking at weeks?
No, it's a matter of weeks. Like the next orders that folks make, because I do everything small batch, I've got a very small amount of product left over that's got our old labeling, and new labels actually should be here today.
Oh,
so,
fantastic.
Yeah, and new tins and everything. So really the next batches that go out will start to have our new labels on them. So
fantastic. So with that, I'm going to get back to viewers' questions here in just a moment, but one more. So going down the line of what is your opinion? This is kind of my fun question. Okay. And I'm not looking for you to throw anybody under the bus, but just of any kind of marketing you've done in the past, what was the least effective marketing? We've had some crazy answers here. So I just always like to kind of flip that script on it, kind of sit there and go, okay, what did you do? And you go, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that again.
Oh, well, honestly, really, we've been very successful, I would say, actually. I thought cold calling might go a little sketchy, and it actually went really well, and people were very receptive to those calls. Really, I haven't had negative marketing experiences other than I just had a couple of not so friendly retailers that had invited me into the store to get samples and then weren't very nice about it. So made me kind of go, well, maybe we won't want to sell in your store anyway. So,
gotcha.
but really, other than that, I haven't had too much on funny or weird marketing stuff, and maybe partially because we haven't been around long enough to have that.
Okay, gotcha.
But no, I don't really have anything good there.
Oh, okay. Anyways, it's a fun question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a great question that's coming from the audience, which I actually didn't even think of: can people buy the uninfused products that you sell online if they're not in our state?
Boy, I wouldn't see any ruling against that, but it's not something we've looked into, no.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay. So there's
we
nowhere
just
they can
haven't.
buy and click and do all that kind of stuff.
Not currently, no.
So, well,
I mean, that is a great idea, though.
Yeah, thank you for
Seriously.
the great idea. Hopefully, maybe they'll be doing that soon.
I'm certainly not opposed to it.
We have big audiences overseas
Absolutely.
and on the East Coast and those kind of things. So
that's great.
They're always giving us great ideas, So let's go down that. As you said, it sounds like you're going to be doing a lot more getting your name out there, doing those kind of things now that you've won an award, getting into more shops. So what are your plans? Kind of where can people expect to kind of see your brand getting out there in late 2017, 2018?
Well, we really have, we're down south. We're in Chehalis, and so we've kind of taken this sort of circle around the Chehalis area, and I'm hoping, I think we're going to, as I had mentioned, be able to start settling down the sales road here a little bit more than we are. So just trying to expand really out from where we are. So our next sort of batch is the Vancouver area to see if we can get down into that area, start heading more north. We're not in very many stores up north, and that's a bummer because there's a lot of folks that I do a little bit of, just my own self-promotion anytime I'm around, and my own friends talk about muscle aches and pains, and talk to them about our salves, and they are very gracious and are supportive and drive down south to get it.
Oh, nice.
be nice if they didn't have to. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so we'll start doing that. And that's just literally just a lack of, we haven't even attempted to get up into those stores yet. So
Gotcha. The speaking of that, but it sounds almost like there's almost a supply demand. I mean, are you even producing enough to be able to fulfill all those stores?
That's partially why we don't want to do and can't get into too
Gotcha.
many stores. I want to make sure who we're in.
You can keep supplying.
Yeah,
you
and
don't
then
run
that
out.
they're happy. Absolutely. And we are ready to start growing. So we'll be able to start supporting more stores. And as we get more employees and move that direction, then absolutely, you know, our goal would be to be obviously in as many stores as we can. But with that being said, we're, you know, a little bit specialty. We're a little bit of a mom and pop. I'm not one who really would be able to do cases and cases and cases at a discounted price. You know, you're pretty much going to get what we're asking, or we can't do it because it's just not really in the scope to stay on top of mass production. And I don't want to. You know, these salves are really important. I put a lot of love into making these. You know, there's a reason people, I think, get away from doing things like this and just go to the grocery store and buy it because it's easy.
Okay.
You know, our recipes take time, and when you're infusing all of the herbs, not even getting to the cannabis part, you know, it's just, there's a lot of consideration taken into that. So I just want to make sure that every time we get into a store, people are happy with it, and you know, hopefully that will just continue to grow as it can.
Yeah, it's not about people buying it once. It's about them buying it over and over.
Repeat, absolutely.
And that's the thing. That really what I feel speaks to the quality of a product is the people coming back and saying, hey, that worked and I'm getting it again.
And we are getting that, which is tremendous. The stores that we are in, the feedback is coming back. Stores are absolutely making repeat orders, which is good for us. Really good. It's exciting. Good. Yeah, it's very exciting.
I have to apologize. This cold.
Yeah.
And I know that.
Poor thing, man.
We talked about it. Guys in the audience, you know my voice is normally not like this. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with us as I do this. But so explain to us where you want your brand to be. And I'm going to say this, and this is one of my favorite questions, is think outside the cannabis industry. Who do you look up to almost as another brand that is similar to you? And I'm going to give an example. Are you guys the Lexus of the marijuana industry? Are you the Ford? Are you the someone said Tesla once, which I thought was a great answer.
That's a good answer.
But, you know, it doesn't have to be anything to do with cars.
No.
It can be the Coca-Cola. Or are you the Pepsi?
How about let's go more with Burt's Bees before he sold out?
There you go.
Yeah, you know, I think for us, it's a little bit more like that. It's a mom and pop that, you know, we would like to stay that way and stay really true to our product. So yeah, I think that's a good comparison. You know, yeah. Large, but not.
So for those viewers who don't know much about Birch Bees, and maybe they're in an area that doesn't have Birch Bees, who is Birch Bees? Tell me, like, why do you identify with their kind of mission, vision, and product?
Okay. Going back to just Bert himself, you know, beekeeper that created this really incredible product off of his own land. And for us, that's, I think, the scope of where we would want to try to go. If we can't utilize our homeland to run our cannabis business, then I'd like to utilize that to grow all the other herbs that we use and be able to, you know, produce all of our own herbs, and at that point, even then, we can make some of our own essential oils. And I see it going that way for sure. And
so, what kind of stuff would you have to grow on your land?
Oh,
because I don't know anything about lotion. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, and plus ours is it's a little bit more salve based. So we actually take all of the herbs that are specific to whatever salve they're going into. So like our just MJ, for example, has a tremendous amount of warming herbs that are specific to pain relief. We take all of those and we put them in and infuse them in oil, and you strain all that oil off, and then that goes into one of our herb bases. So man, I think we use about 40 different herbs. So yeah, it's a tremendous amount. I mean, the herb space is huge in our little building there, and so it would it takes some effort, but I think it would be really worth putting up a couple greenhouses and doing those. It's not such a tremendous amount that, we'd need to use the whole farm to grow herbs. I think we could grow enough to support Wildmint and feel very comfortable then that, we're getting organic herbs that we've touched every day, we know about, and if we could utilize that, I think that would be good for us. And then at that point, it'd be possible to think really seriously about doing uninfused salves and marketing them that way.
Exactly. That's I like your vertical kind of integration, going almost farm to table, but farm to lotion.
Absolutely.
Kind of a thing.
And we've done that in life, so I think that just really fit in well. For
your guys, who your company is. I know you talked about that you guys have brochures and you have the website. Is that literature, like, is that in everything? Like, if someone bought your product, are they understanding who you guys are, and that's your why behind everything?
Yes, we did go ahead and put that on the very back of the brochure, in About Us section. Of course, it's also on the website. It really does for us come down to not just the farm to table, but also being sustainable, not utilizing more than we need, trying to produce as little waste as we possibly can. We do source everything. I think the furthest any of our stuff comes from is Colorado.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, just about everything is sourced out of Washington or
local.
Or Portland, which is really nice.
Wow.
And I think that sort of just in general, we try to put that in everything because we feel that's super important to know that that's our vision. It
almost seems like, and you can totally correct me if I'm wrong here, but it almost seems like that you guys are a company that believes in local sustainability, organic, and you just happen to make an award-winning THC lotion that just comes from the other side of all of your values.
Absolutely.
And that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's
and I think the
good.
two tied together, the growing side was very fun and thoroughly enjoyed that. But I don't think it's a shocker that it's a lot of risk, and there's just a lot of an involvement with that plant. And especially in our case where we were going to be forced to start paying rent, where we were in a situation to utilize our tier 1 on a property we already owned. And of course, I'm sure you've discussed this before, everybody was like, oh, marijuana, it's 10 times what it was going to be if we weren't marijuana. So rent and things of that nature. Totally. So really all of that kind of segue going into the medical side of it and producing our own plant, and then creating our own food just really kind of was like, why wouldn't we be making topicals and salves? This is like right up our alley. It seems silly we weren't doing this already. So
that's funny. Interesting.
So guys, once again, you're watching The Industry Show. I'm your host, Random Vaughn, and today I have the absolute pleasure of having Summer from Wildmint here. And so we are coming to you live from Danks Wonder Emporium, and you're watching us on Dank Network. I have a few more questions of my own, obviously. But guys, please get your questions in now so that I get an opportunity to ask Summer any questions you guys have. Those get fed to me, and I will get to as many of them as possible. So with that, kind of what came first for you regarding the passion around cannabis, marijuana, lotions, sustainability? We've talked about a whole lot of things. So talk to me about, where did that passion originate from?
Well, I think really kind of just growing up on a farm and being taught kind of from an early age, you work for what you get. And all of my parents, I come from, a stepmom and mom and dad and kind of that whole gamut. And everybody really instilled a good work ethic. And, I think just life brought us to sort of understanding that our food system, our, healthcare system and things were not sitting exactly right with how we were living life. My partner and I actually giggle all the time that we really should have been born like 200 years ago and would have fit in a little bit better. But really it kind of that whole passion just really started when we moved out to the farm and had our own land to really utilize. I've been a horse trainer for several years, grew up on a farm, but it was never ours, and having your own garden and then realizing, wow, I'm actually really good at this. And same thing when I started growing medically for myself, I had no idea. I'm like, well, I guess we'll see if this goes well. And,
yeah, exactly.
And it did. And I think really it just came down to education. And we gave those girls a lot of love. And we kind of tried to do that with everything. So, I think that the passion just came from feeling like we were putting together a really good product that I use every single day, and making sure that, the people that were using it kind of felt that love. They can tell that it's just a product that's not slapped together, not saying anything about any of the other topicals out there, just feeling like our product is really well thought out and it's specific to the problem that you have, the need that you would need it for.
Nice. So I was going to ask you this question, and you kind of went right to it, so now I can't avoid it. Since you did win the Dope Cup, but what is that thing, the one thing that you feel you do better than other companies? And as you are a small company, and you get to obviously focus on doing a smaller array of things.
Sure.
But you're obviously, you're doing so much to make that single product. But what is that one thing you feel that you do better than other companies in the lotion space? You did win the Dope Cup.
Yeah, right. Oh, God, that's a hard one because I certainly am not trying to throw anybody under the bus. But our quality, I think our quality is outstanding. I mean, when you put that much thought and that much love into something, it's really, I think, hard not to get that quality out. And I think
because it's all by hand. You're not nothing is automated in your system.
No,
Gotcha.
no. So if you get a label that's a little askew, sorry, that's totally me. And our labels are super sticky. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I should have a machine, but it doesn't. So,
gotcha.
So that's really what it is. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So I do have to ask the one political question. We get it. It comes in every time when we're on the show.
Okay.
And so I'm taking the pulse of every producer processor. And I think you probably have a different viewpoint since you were down in Lewis County. They
Sure.
have this ban that is now supposedly not a ban. And we can get into that some more. But now that we have a new administration, we have Trump in office, and he has his attorney general, and he's obviously came out and made some statements, and he's even recently once again come out and made even more interesting statements. What is your feeling about anything that could affect our industry? What do you see happening with him and those things? I'm getting everyone's pulse on what do you feel about our new attorney general?
Oh, well, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying if you would have voted for him or whatnot.
No, I get it.
It's more about just what do you think might happen based upon him being in office?
I think that's a tough question to answer personally because I don't know. I think that there's enough. I hope that there's enough states that have gone recreational that should they attempt to take that out of states' hands, that they'll obviously have a hell of a fight on their hands. Although I do think that it's within Jeff Sessions' scope of his kind of mindset to eradicate marijuana, I don't think he's getting the sort of backing that he thought maybe the American people were going to be like, yeah, definitely. I think enough people are getting educated and really understanding how important this plant really is.
Yeah.
That I think it could be very difficult to at least move away from where we're headed now. I'm not going to say that, they maybe other states won't grow as fast as we did because of them. But my own personal, I can't imagine it going anywhere or that they are going to really be able to
do anything.
Well, really, no.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I almost, what? It's funny that you said that. No one's really brought up the fact of if because of Trump and Sessions that fewer, when states are putting it on the ballot and they are voting, that process that could actually get delayed. So I'll just let's use Texas as
Sure.
example, that Texas would actually vote for medical marijuana
later because of them in office. And I didn't think about I'm almost wondering if they would vote sooner because they see like, oh
Might
man,
try.
we better get this.
But also
so
on the
it's
other hand,
it's
if you
just
have
an
people like
interesting-
our county who's like, oh, sweet. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
Now
we
we
know.
drag our feet even more.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think there's two sides to
yeah,
that.
I think there's
personally.
the voting public, the people that get the benefit, and then there's politicians and them doing things in their best interest.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
we've talked about that off air. But anyways, not a political show. Just the one political question that everybody, because I'm just letting you know, if I don't ask it, that is literally the number one comment in the threads that everyone wants to know.
Well, that's understandable. I
we
mean,
get
that.
customers coming in every day asking us, and so I like getting you guys an opportunity to actually
Absolutely.
speak because you don't get to talk directly to the customers. What is your biggest challenge as a producer processor? Like, what is the thing that you're struggling with kind of on a day-to-day basis? What's something if someone wasn't a producer processor that they wouldn't realize what is the hard thing that you're always grappling with trying to fix, solve?
Sure. We're little, so I can't say it's a huge problem, but because I don't want to grow super fast. But yeah, the marketing, actually getting your product out into stores is definitely a challenge. This late in the game, especially if you're dealing with a store that's been around a long time and you're bringing a topical in.
They already have products on the shelf. You were trying to steal shelf spell from a different company.
What it makes you so special, and that's the thing is we did have to come up with something. We knew we were coming into the market later, and that there probably was going to be a lot of stuff out there that we were going to have to compete against, and I do think that's a tough part. I do. A lot of stores have been awesome and very warm and welcoming, and then others just
Nope, we got the lotion
they
covered
just don't have the time of day, and
Gotcha.
I don't think that they feel which hey, I totally understand that the topicals are even justifiable. Some stores pending on location, maybe don't service a large marketplace of people that would be interested in utilizing a topical.
Gotcha.
They just really want to get stoned, so
we face I'll actually, it's funny that you bring that up. We literally had stores that would just go through lotions like you wouldn't believe. We joked about like, we're going to get rid of all the weed, we'll just sell lotions,
right?
And then we had other stores that you couldn't sell one to save your life.
Yeah.
So I do agree that demographics, how much they're educated around it, those kind of things play a big part into that specific category of infused lotions.
For sure.
Plays.
Plus, I think, too, what's interesting now is a lot of folks that maybe wouldn't consider getting their medical card because maybe they don't have a very serious issue. It's just a muscle ache or a muscle pain. But something over the counter is not, at the grocery store just isn't quite cutting it. I think this is a great alternative for somebody who doesn't want to feel stoned, wants to be able to have direct basically you can apply it directly to the spot that hurts, and you're getting that benefit versus ingesting and or smoking. It may take a little bit longer to actually get the pain relieved in the area that you need it. So I think folks that didn't come from the medical side didn't know that a topical was even really a good option, and I think that's changing, which is exciting, and we're really trying to educate folks on that anytime we talk about it, that's something that we suggest is a really awesome alternative for people that don't want to necessarily smoke but would like to try something different.
Yeah. So that brings up a great question. Number one question we get most definitely about topicals is two things. Number one, is it going to get me high?
Right.
Would you be able to talk about in any detail around that it doesn't get you high and why?
Yeah, I can actually a little bit in the research. And again, I'm not a doctor. So, you kind of have to keep that in mind. But in the research that we did, when you utilize cannabis topically, it does not typically interact with the brain receptors. So you have CB receptors all over your body, whether they're CB1 or CB2, interacts differently with THC or CBD or CBG, CBN, things like that. And when you apply topically, it does not typically interact. The reason why I say typically is there are certainly carrier oils that you can put on your on your body that may break that blood-brain barrier. We specifically with our help headache medicine, because of the magnesium oil, say you should be just aware of that. But I do feel that with the research that we have done, that people that would like to use cannabis topically will not feel high. You should feel rested and relaxed, but it doesn't. It just doesn't interact with that CB receptor that's the psychotropic.
You're not going to get stoned.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Well, thanks for that information. Literally, that question had just come in, and it's just People always want to know that one.
Well, sure.
So what is the one piece of advice, kind of going more back to the general industry, is the piece of advice you would give to someone trying to get into the industry now, whether that's in Washington, if we want to get specific, or just in general as a whole, as people are looking at recreational legalization going across the country, that they go, this is the industry I want to spend the rest of my life in.
It's funny. I just literally had somebody ask me that question, contacted me, got our info, saw a Facebook post, whatever, makes topicals now currently that are not infused and would like to get into the field, and specifically wanted to talk about partnering up with me, which, is wonderful.
Fantastic.
But I already make topicals, so I didn't know if that was necessarily going to be the best option for her. But that's basically what I told her I thought she should do, would be to start looking at other producer processors that perhaps don't have that line and start trying to make some connections and partnerships that way.
Was this specifically in Washington, or was this outside of?
Yeah,
okay,
this was
in
a
Washington.
specific Washington.
Nice.
Yeah.
Does she already have a known brand of topicals?
No, but she's basically be kind of like a mom and pop, a gal that owns a hair salon and sells it out of her salon and has a definite following.
Nice.
And I'm pretty sure it was her following that was like, hey,
check this out.
You should infuse these.
Nice,
and so I tried to give her, the best advice that I know, but I'm not a lawyer or an attorney, so it's harder to know everything about the ins and outs of getting into it other than our story. But I just thought, partnerships are probably the best way to go, because it's really the only way you can get into the industry right now till they
unless you're going to try and buy a license, put a lot of money
and
up in the
was
upfront.
Not what most people want to do.
Exactly.
And if you, quite frankly, if that's what you wanted to do and you had that kind of money, you're probably already in it. So
yeah, exactly. So anyways, with that is the show.
Okay.
Summer, I want to say absolutely a pleasure.
Thanks.
Time always runs long anytime we get to talking, and it was just an absolute pleasure to me. Guys, thank you for watching the Industry Show. I'm your host, Random Vaughn, and you guys have been watching live on Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. And Sumner with Wildmint Dope Cup winner 2016 was our guest today. If you guys have any questions for Summer, how can they contact you to get
through my website?
Through the website,
there is
and that
contact
is
information, wildmintllc.com.
Wildmintllc.com. So, guys, if you have additional questions that I wasn't able to get to during the show, please hit her up or post your comments. I'm sure she'll be checking the comment threads on our social media pages. Guys, once again, thanks for watching on Dank Network, and always live higher.